720 KDWN.
NMLS number 369115. Program number 0902429.
More live local talk than any station in Las Vegas. News Talk 720 KDWN, where locals come to talk. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
There is no middle ground in today's housing market.
We started seeing a climb.
Sales of existing homes rose sharply.
So the homes that have been selling are at a higher price.
Let's begin.
All right, in 3, 2, 1.
It's time to cut through the clutter.
Refinancing your home loan.
This is your source for the latest real estate and home financing news you can actually use.
My prediction is that most predictions will be wrong.
It's the Market Snapshot.
Going live.
And now, here's your host, Dan French.
Welcome to the Market Snapshot. This is Dan French from Nova Home Loans, your go-to mortgage specialist here in Las Vegas. Wanted to let you know this Market Snapshot is really put together to help everyone out there for any questions related to financing and real estate. And it's really dedicated to helping you as a consumer to the best path for home ownership. We offer up-to-date content on the ever-changing Las Vegas market. Today in studio, I have Chakits ITZ Krulsawat from Simply Vegas. How you doing today, Chakits?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Great. It looks a little gloomy out today, huh?
Yeah, it's actually kind of chilly out today.
Yeah.
I mean, for the past couple days, it was nice and hot around the, 80s, 70s, but today's a little bit chilly.
So I got a gas station by my house, and every time I go there to get gas, their pitch is, you want to get a car wash.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I would get a car wash today, but it's probably going to rain today. And he goes, you know what? You got a 24-hour window to come back if it does rain on your car or your truck. And I said, maybe give me a week and I'll do it. You know what I mean? It's not going to be one day and then I'm going to come back. How many people got time to come back in a day?
Well, they want you to come back so that way you can spend more money.
So you can get a Slurpee.
Exactly.
That's right. Has the economy showed signs of weakening? The last quarter of 2015 showed an increase in rate hikes. Job reports came out this week. Headline numbers were at 190,000 versus the 240,000. And we went back to revise January employment, and this showed signs of strength, still under 5%. But average hourly earnings were expected to rise 0.2% for the month of February. When you raise the minimum wage hikes in January, you do see, obviously this could impact us in some way, shape, or form, if you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And, with the raise in this state, and could be a possibility that this could help us, because when you have hourly wages increasing, it's going to affect something else, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So we declined 0.1% in average hourly earnings of this last month.
Well, that's not good. And then most of our jobs are all part-time jobs. And if we take a look for last month's, the total job growth was at 230,000, but at 88% were actually part-time jobs. The majority of those jobs were actually the service sector jobs.
And here's the thing about that. It was supposed to come in at 0.2, so now it's declined. That doesn't show strength in our economy. That doesn't show strength in our workforce or the employment force, if you want to say that. Also, the hours declined 34.6 to 34.4 of the previous month. That means hours are, it's not a huge difference, but it's enough to be alarming if you have enough people that are working less hours. A lot of people have part-time jobs now.
A lot of people.
That's everybody. So you have 2-3 jobs that everybody's now needing to get anything, financing or just to live. So you got to look at that. You got to look at what the job and unemployment rate is doing. Even though it says it's under 5%, that doesn't mean it's always necessarily good in our economy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not a bad thing, but you do got to pay attention to these things.
Now, here's the thing. When it comes to jobs, that's actually our leading indicator to our economy. It really starts from the jobs and also the wages.
Just want to say thank you for tuning in today, making us part of your day, however you're listening. We appreciate your listenership, and as always, it's a privilege and a pleasure to educate the Las Vegas community. And, our talk and text lines are open. If you want to give us a call in studio, you can reach us in studio 702-257-5396. Again, that number is 702-257-5396. You can give us a call, and we'll discuss any financing or real estate question. Also, you could text me at 6682 to 55,000. You can also, text me any question you have financing. You're going to register through that. While registering into that, you also get a free IDX search tool that you can use for any property here, and that information is pulled right from the MLS. Also, wanted to tell you can reach us outside studio. I have people standing by 781-6682. That's a direct number. You can give us a call if you want to schedule a free consultation. So let's go back to this, what we're talking about, the employment. Companies now have been hiring part-time employees instead of full-time employees. They've hired a lot more part-time or have inquired more employees for part-time jobs. And they've been actually laying off, not necessarily firing, but they have been putting them, or if you want to call it a demotion, not giving them the full 40-hour work week. And, a lot of benefit to that. Ever since the Obama administration came in and said, hey, you know what, let's start lowering and getting more part-time jobs. The job indication that we have, or the unemployment that we see isn't necessarily great, because a lot of those are being taken for, part-time employees. And they looked at and they pulled up, the percentage of the new employment and the new hires, the new job offers that came up of last month. 88% of those were part-time employers. There was only 12% of people or people out there that got jobs,
full-time jobs,
that are full-time jobs.
And actually that really hurts our sector, because the economy is really based upon job growth. Then from that, it trickles down to GDP, gross domestic products, goods and services. And what happens is our economy is not a strong economy, and other countries don't buy our stocks and bonds, and our dollar weakens. So it's kind of a thing that consistently keeps going on and on until we fix these things. But it seems like the Feds kind of fudges the numbers a little bit. So reality, we are not really at a 4.9% of unemployment.
No, I don't think we are. And I'll tell you, many of those jobs, that 88% I told you about, are low-level jobs. They're hospitality jobs. They're things that require minimum wage. And, we talked about this before. Minimum wage is not a lot here.
No, it's not.
And it needs to increase a bit. I don't think it needs to increase too much where, like you said, you got McDonald's workers working and making $15, $20 an hour. Because guess what? That Big Mac's now going to cost you about $10.
Now, the consumer needs to understand that these jobs do not pay enough to kickstart the economy, consumer spending to level off the economy. So that's why it's so important that we actually get more full-time jobs and an increase in pay.
Well, let's look at it this way. You got all these rallies that's going on, political. I don't get into the whole political debates, and I just don't, because I think a lot of it's dictated really after you get in office. So I'm about show me what you actually
proofs in the pudding.
Exactly. I'm about actions. I'm not about just talk. But you have a lot of people out there on the rallies. They got they're part-time employees. Maybe they're unemployed. And
all of them are all part-time employees. That's why they're going with Sanders and Trump. That's why they're so big right now, is because majority of our economy is all part-time jobs, and they want more benefits. But these politicians are probably giving them more than they could really give them. So, and then the other thing is you have exports, tariffs and things like that. That when you come in, they're at the lowest they've been in 5.5 years, and that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad, because that tells you that obviously that's one of the staples of us in our economy is globalization and exporting and importing goods in and out of here. And if you have that slowed down, it's going to affect us. It's going to affect the economy. It's going to affect our overall recovery. I think at some point we're going to start to see this. And I think oil is still cheap, and a lot of people have money left over because the gas that they're using is a lot less to them to fill up a tank. But we are at $36 a barrel today? Well, we are, but the thing is if you have inflation that's countering it, it's not saying that that's going to alleviate. You're still breaking even. Yeah, you're not going to. You're moving one money to one sector to a different sector. So I think the new thing now is people working 2 to 3 jobs. I think it's going to be harder to try to get not only health insurance. I mean, you have to have it, but still to get health insurance through an employer. That's another perk that they do. That's why you have where you're working part-time jobs, but just to make the same amount of wage that you had. One, I think this unemployment is fudged a little bit, like you said. But I think the other thing that's going to happen is that it's going to be harder for people to deal with everyday expenditure. Things like they need, getting loans and anything that they need that they might need to get ahead in life.
the inflation and because of the employment and hours that they're working, it's going to affect them.
I mean, you take a look at Walmart. They closed down so many stores. You got other major companies that are, starting to foreclose. You got certain banks that are, looking into foreclosure too and asking for a bailout. So I guess at the end of the day, how do we resolve this problem? I tell you how. Less government spending. Well, that's what we need to do.
I think here's the thing. We have to look at ourselves as Las Vegas. Like we've talked about, Las Vegas as a whole is doing well. I think, yes, there's
it is because our primary sector is hospitality and casino and gambling. So I'm sure there, like you said, there's a lot of part-time jobs out there.
Well, you also got to take a look at the consideration of, what do we have to offer other than that, though?
Yeah.
And I think you look at the construction. There's a lot more businesses that are moving here, like we've talked about.
Yeah.
They're starting up new, entrepreneurs like this city. There's a lot of things that they can offer in any variety of way.
And I think the reason why they come out to certain cities is because it depends on the type of benefits that these, our cities are actually given to our corporations as far as tax incentives and all that good stuff.
So let's say how this can affect us here. Well, you're out there and you're trying to buy a house, or you're trying to get financially approved. You now need that co-borrower that maybe you didn't need 4 or 5 years ago because you're working only one job at 20 or 25 hours versus you working a full-time job at 40 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that does affect you. Now you have to go in search of finding another job, and when jobs are scarce or you have other people looking for competition with that same employment, you're going to have a problem. And not saying that everybody is affected by this, but there's going to be more and more people affected by it. And the 40-hour work week, I'll tell you, it does have a lot of value to it. I know some people like the part-time and they want to just get that quick money and get out, and a lot of servers, a lot of hospitality people, but there's also a lot of people that want that 40-hour week job because they need those hours because they have families. They got, maybe kids, 2 or 3 kids, and they need those hours. They need that money to support their family on a weekly and a monthly basis.
And they want a time frame, when to go into work, and, they want to have a life too as well. I notice a lot of these service sector jobs, with these part-time jobs, their hours float.
Yes.
All over the place. Every week it changes.
Yes.
And if you're working 2 part-time jobs, you really don't have a life.
You really don't. I mean, you're all work. And you know what? You're giving up 2 things. Your freedom, not your freedom, but you kind of are, but your time.
Your freedom.
Your time. Your time.
Yeah.
Right? And you're also giving up your hourly pay.
Yeah.
And when you're losing money, and let's say you're not making as much at 2 jobs as you would make at 1 job, which does happen sometimes, you're giving up a lot. So you always got to plan for 2 instead of planning for 1. So I think that's a big deal. And I think that, coming into Vegas, I don't think it's going to be a huge problem because Vegas has this already established where you have hospitality, people work different hours. But I think in other states, it's going to be a problem. And it's something to consider here, though, because if, let's say, the unemployment and let's say that, the jobs and employment security that we have here with the hospitality jobs, and it starts to diminish, the hours start to diminish for them, and they're starting to get 2 or 3 jobs. Now I get a lot of people that are coming into me to get financially approved saying, I got 2 jobs, and they've been working, 2-3 years on them. It's not like a quick, I'm going to work
quick
there.
Fix,
I'm going to work there 5 or 6 months and I'm done. They have to work that job.
And the other issue is that, because we are in a service sector business here, that a lot of these people don't file their tips as well. And I think the reason why is because, there's so much things that are going on within our economy, and a lot of people, think that they may be going into a recession. They don't want to pay taxes. So what they're doing is they're saving and holding as much as money as possible just in case if something happens. But at the end of the day, if you're thinking about buying a home, this will affect you.
Absolutely. It'll affect you. Let's go right into the market rundown. You ready for this? You ready, Chakits?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Bring it, Chakits.
So, honey, what are you going to rant about today? Can we get a little preview?
It's the market rundown.
As always, we're going to start off with financing, news, and events. I'm going to go right into housing market statistics, interest rate trending. We're going to talk about the possibility of QE4. Is this really coming? And how important are millennials to the economy and the housing market? We're going to talk about that right here on the Market Snapshot. And as always, you can always stream us live. You can go get the KDWN News Talk Radio app, and you can download that to your phone, and then you can start streaming with us live from there. You can also give us a call in studio if you have any questions, 702-257-5396. If If you have any questions regarding financing or real estate, we'd love to hear from you. And you can text us 6682 to 55,000 if you want to register for a free IDX search tool for your new home. We'd love to help you for that. Also, you can, if you want to ask me a question, you can find out any past information, anything that we're linked up to, Facebook, Twitter, you can go on there. Also, I have a new website, danfrenchloans.com. We're going to be making updates mainly about just past shows and also information on maybe educating you on what's going on with the housing market, interest rates, and how it will affect you. So any questions, give us a call. Let's go right into events and news. Do you have any events or news for me today, Chakits?
NASCAR weekend, Cobo 500.
You got your Budweiser hat with the little straws?
Man, I ain't spending that kind of money, but I tell you what, Norman's a tradition.
I was wondering why you came in looking like that with your you remember those shorts?
Yeah.
You ever seen those shorts that they used to wear in the 80s? Like it was like
super high?
Yeah, super high and tight.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to be wearing those in today. Because
it's too
what
cold
you
outside.
see when you go to NASCAR.
It's too cold. It's too cold outside.
It's funny.
But normally, it is a tradition for me and my wife to go out to watch NASCAR every Sunday. But you know what? Tradition. But you know what? We made a commitment, for our listeners. So I gotta be here.
All right,
gotta be here. I ain't got a choice.
You were gonna go.
Yeah.
And you were gonna cancel on me at the last minute, and not tell me about it.
That's right.
And then I'd have to just basically cancel the show.
I would have been like. Like when you call in sick, like they know that you're bull. You're like, I can't make it. Like, come on with the cough, bro. Like if you're sick, you're sick.
And then you say something in the background, or somebody's like, "Hurry up, we're trying to go."
Check this out. I actually read this article. The salaries that you need to afford a home in 25 cities, you need about $51,000.
Wow,
just to get into the median price throughout the country. But the funny thing is they don't have Las Vegas here. So we know that the median price right now is at $220,000.
$220.
So, at $220, let me ask you this. How much income do you actually really need to make to actually afford $220?
You only need to make maybe like $1,000 a month. I'm just playing.
Okay, I was about to say, what?
You need to make roughly, well, it depends on how much debt you have.
I'm just saying if you don't have debt, let's just break it down.
All right, so let's say
you don't have any debt.
Let's say if you don't have any debt, you're probably looking at about a $1,200 payment on $220,000 roughly, taxes and insurance. You're probably looking at you need to make about
$30,000,
about $40,000 to $45,000 maybe, just to be safe. Yeah, because you don't want to obviously extend yourself, and you want to still meet the debt ratio cap. So that's if you have no debt. A lot of people that are coming in, they got car payments, student loans. We're going to talk about that more here down the show. But they just got a lot of loans and a lot of debt that they got to account for in trying to get a mortgage payment, because now you're accounting for that mortgage payment, including everything else you have. And nobody out there wants to be mortgage broke.
Yeah. So now that goes back to the service sector at 88% working part-time jobs.
Right.
And how does that really affect a consumer to buy a home?
There you go.
If you got to make around $40,000 a year.
Well, if you're making $30,000 from one job.
Yeah.
And now you're trying to say, well, I want to get that $220,000. Now you're getting that part-time job that you really didn't want. Here's the other thing, too, about that. People that have a part-time job that's a secondary job, you have to have it for 24 months.
Wow,
you can't
24 months.
Yeah, you can't just say, well, I've been on a job for 3 years. I'm just going to go out and get a job. So now it's even harder to get a job and then have a second one and then get approved for a loan.
And most people with a second job, it's just a second job. And, these part-time jobs, too, as well, these are just like gateway jobs just to get into career jobs.
Well, a lot of times, and you're right. A lot of times, I can get people approved. Let's say if you're an FHA borrower, you start off and you go to college. And one thing about college is they've seen a recent study that people that are going to college, they're going to college and then they don't use their college degree. They're going back to working these minimum wage or these $10 an hour jobs.
Because they can't get the jobs.
Well, let me say this, though. You have to go with what your craft is or a demand for what things are at the time. You got to be able to adapt. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to go get education and try to get some type of degree. But if you're not going to use your degree, it's great to be educated. But if you're doing something totally different and it's not really helping you, most people go to school for what, Chuck? They go to school so they can try to get a better opportunity, a better job, make more money, have a better position in life. And you know what? A lot of times it does happen that way. This is Dan French with the Market Snapshot. We'll be right back. We have a whole lot of show left. We're going to talk more here on news and events. We're also going to bring up interest rate trending, and we're also going to give away the Galaxy Theater tickets here at the top of the hour. So stay tuned for that, and we'll be right back. It's Dan French.
Ready for even more content?
Yes, thank you.
Check out past shows online at danfrenchloans.com.
Yeah, now you're talking.
Stick around. The Market Snapshot continues next here on News Talk 720 KDWN.
AP Update, I'm Ed Donahue. Former First Lady Nancy Reagan has died of congestive heart failure in California. The AP's Mark Smith reports Nancy Reagan was fiercely loyal to Ronald Reagan, the nation's 40th president.
She brought style to the White House, from designer gowns to costly china. Nancy Reagan also brought an anti-drug message.
Say no to drugs and say yes to life.
And she was Ronald Reagan's staunch protector. The day he was shot, he told her, "Honey, I forgot to duck." Later, those White House years seemed a whirl of politics, pomp, and flights on Air Force One.
Standing before this airplane brings back so many wonderful memories.
She called him Ronnie, and she was Mommy, his second wife. Both actors they married in 1952. In retirement, she nursed Reagan through a decade of Alzheimer's before his death in 2004. Mark Smith, Washington.
Nancy Reagan died in Bel Air, California. She was 94. AP Update, I'm Ed Donahue.
And checking the Sunday weather forecast, calling for a cloudy sky, windy a bit, and a bit higher temperatures today in the mid-60s, but then lower tomorrow, only on Monday in the mid-70s. Right now it's 67 degrees under cloudy skies. This is News Talk 720, KDWN.
Purchasing your first home or refinancing your current home are both major financial decisions that necessitate having the right person on your side. Hi, I'm Dan French with Nova Home Loans, and I'll put my 9 years experience to work for you to make the loan process as easy as possible. Call me today, Dan French, at 702-216-3907.
And for real estate and home financing news you can use, catch the Market Snapshot every Sunday from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. on News Talk 720, KDWN.
Listen up, Vegas. Dollar Loan Center guarantees to beat the rate of any payday lender. You can even apply and get fully funded online at don'tbebroke.com. Get a signature loan up to $2,500 in minutes with no hidden fees and no checking account required. And now, you can get an auto title loan for up to 80% of your vehicle's value, and we lend up to $10,000. No credit check required to get your auto title loan. At Dollar Loan Center, you only pay for the time you have the loan out, and we lend more, way more than the rest. We have more than 30 area locations to serve you, or apply and get funded online at don'tbebroke.com. Signature loans up to $2,500 or auto title loans up to $10,000. Call 702-364-LOAN today.
Licensed by Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Customer must meet the normal loan qualifications. To review loan qualifications, visit us at don'tbebroke.com. Certain limitations may apply. Loans are subject to approval.
The only thing better than playing a hero in the movies is being a hero in real life. Like the 50,000 veterans who returned from Iraq and Afghanistan with devastating injuries. They are true heroes. And they're why I'm proud to support Paralyzed Veterans of America. For more than 60 years, Paralyzed Veterans of America has made a promise to never leave a fallen comrade behind. They make sure veterans with spinal cord injuries get the quality medical care, rehabilitation, and housing they need when they come home. They stay with our fallen heroes for the long term, offering counseling, job training, and support to help them regain the freedom and independence they fought so hard for. All at no cost to them. Our veterans fought for us. Let's fight for them. To learn more about how you can help, visit pva.org. That's pva.org. We will never leave a fallen comrade behind.
A public service message from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
AQ Denture Service is the only dental office in Nevada that has the brand new Ceramil motion machine. What does this mean to you? Well, now AQ can do any dental restoration on site. You can now get your custom fitted dentures, bridges, dental implants, or any dental restoration done in-house within 24 hours. The pros at AQ Denture have their own tooth designer as well as a 3D scanner and on-site lab. If you have a problem with your teeth and don't know what to do, pick up the phone and call AQ 702-565-6000. Call 702-565-6000. 800-565-6000.
This is Ben Down of Mike Down Realty. Right now, we're currently looking for partners to join us in flipping properties. I locate undervalued properties, fix them up, and put them back on the market for a profit. Interested? Give me a call at 702-765-4000. That's 702-765-4000, and start making money with us now.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Market Snapshot with Dan French from Nova Home Loans. Got a question about home financing or real estate? Call Dan now, 702-257-KDWN.
Welcome back to the Market Snapshot. It's Dan French from Nova Home Loans, your go-to mortgage specialist here in Las Vegas. I'm in studio with ITZ Chakits from Simply Vegas. What's happening today, Chakits?
I'm doing good. How's everything going with you?
Oh, everything's great. Got a nice day, even though it's a little bit cloudy. Hopefully everybody's having a good Sunday out there shopping or doing something that's productive. Maybe you're just sitting at home watching Netflix. I don't know.
What'd you end up doing last night, man?
Me, I went to watch the fight. You watched the fight?
Yeah, I watched the fight.
Yeah,
on YouTube.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Who were you rooting for?
I didn't care, honestly. I don't really take sides. I think me, for anything that I see or
well, I mean,
do
if you had
sports,
to pick one, I mean, you got to pick somebody.
Well, I didn't pick nobody because I wanted just to see a good fight. I want people to, when I go see any type of sports, anything, I want to see a good game. I want to see a good fight. Because nobody wants to just sit there and see somebody just totally dominate. It's boring after a while.
Yeah.
You know? There's no countering. There's no nothing. So I enjoyed it because I think there was obviously two surprises. I don't think, it almost looked like it was not, I wouldn't say it was, but it just seemed like he just kind of gave up at the end. McGregor?
No, I think what happened was because he fights around 140 pounds and he's gone up about, 35 pounds.
Yeah.
When you gain that kind of muscle, what happens is your oxygen burns up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And you can tell by the second round that's exactly what happened because on the first round, man, this kid was looking hot.
I know. He was looking sharp.
Yeah, he was.
And then the other surprise was, the takedown from the women's fight. And it was Holly Holm, right? So she was obviously tapped out. And so I think it was good. That's what I did last night. And I also went to get something to eat. I had a little dinner over at the parents' house.
Yeah.
And,
what'd your mom make?
Well, we had build our own nachos. My little niece yesterday was baptized.
Nice.
So we went down there and checked that out, and so we had a lot of good things going on yesterday. And so today we're here providing the content.
Nice.
Right. So let's talk about more news and events. We got Steve Martin and Martin Short perform over at the Caesars today. Did you know about that?
Yeah, I'm looking at the notes.
All right, good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Sometimes you're staring off on other things. So. Rugby going on. Also, look, sounds like
NASCAR.
NASCAR. Is that what it sounds like when you go?
Yeah,
Are you getting sweaty palms right now?
Here's the thing. I don't watch NASCAR, but you know what? We like to people watch. It's nice to get into that environment and just.
So you like to stare at people more than you like to stare at people while the people are staring at the cars.
Yeah, I like to talk smack.
Come on, man.
Look at that dude. He's drunk.
I thought you were really into it. So the reason why you and your wife go out there is so you can people watch too.
No, it's actually the atmosphere, my man.
Just playing.
You making me out to be a bad guy.
I know. I'm just playing. You're doing good.
I'm going to be walking around and get smacked.
Now, you know what? I like it. I'll tell you this. It's somewhat, for me, it's repetitive, but I would like to try to jump into that about 100 laps to go.
Yeah.
Instead of doing the whole, 500 laps, I'd rather pay the money and just see a good sprint of 100 to 150 laps. You know what I mean?
I think there's more to it than that.
There is, but I mean, the exciting part of it typically comes towards the later part of the race. The first part is just trying to get through it. You know what I mean? It's like you got to go in, make sure the car's doing well. You got to make sure you do your pit stops on time. Make sure you're not, wearing out your tire. So those things are.
I think a lot of people like to watch that too, just because of the crash. That's messed up.
When they crash,
they
crash.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I mean, it's crazy too because they're coming by so fast.
Yeah,
I've been there. I seen one crash where, I mean, pieces were flying and they were flying forward, you know? So, I mean, it's just crazy. Like one little, that stuff on those cars they're durable, but they're not. You're not going to
Not when you're going 100 and like 80 miles. Yeah.
200.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So the other thing we got going on here is rugby. I was, I play soccer. No, but I was playing soccer.
But that ain't rugby.
So check this out. I was playing soccer on Friday.
Yeah.
And it was, they directed me to go down to a soccer field.
Yeah.
And I said, where's this at? And they're like, oh, it's down by Boulder Station.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Boulder Station? I'm not going to go down there. You know, I was thinking like, dude, you know, am I playing soccer or what's going on down there?
Did you bring your pistol?
Well, you know, I thought about it. I had to hide my money. So, you know, like you're going to get mugged.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, when you're in a neighborhood and you got to start putting your money in your shorts or in your sock.
It's like when I go to Tijuana, I'm like taking my 2 forms of ID, shoving it underneath the like soles of my shoes,
and then you got to act like you're poor, so you got to look down and you got to like put your hands in your pocket like you got nothing. You know, It's like I got nothing to offer. So, anyways, we went down there, and the reason why I was telling this story is that I was playing soccer down there.
Yeah.
And I kept going, and I went too far because there was a field that I passed. And so when I went there, I found out that there was a rugby that was going on there. And this thing is packed. Like, this thing was like, I'm thinking, I mean, they couldn't find a parking spot. I mean, they had to put signs where there was other houses and things that's right next to it that you can't park on the street. So I don't know if they do that every time, but you should have seen the overflow. But it's bigger than I thought it would be, you know, an attraction like that over at Sam Boyd Stadium, the rugby that was going on.
So have you considered playing rugby?
Oh, of course. I'd just show up to work, you know, all beat up.
Mm-hmm.
I think people would like that. I think I would gain a lot more clientele.
More respect.
Yeah. What happened to you last night? I got elbowed in a rugby match.
So that means you can stop wearing your skirt to work, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I can wear a long dress now. Also, the MGM will be hosting the Pac-12 tournament starting 3/9. This is basketball. So anybody out there, I think that's good. I think, you know, when you have Pac-12 tournaments and championships, that's a good thing because it brings money to our city.
Yeah.
And I love those things because once you start getting us on the map, it's going to bring people here. And it brings, obviously, jobs and people that have jobs here.
Mm-hmm.
It brings people to, obviously, make more money. You know, like if you're in the industry of hospitality, you're probably looking towards people like that because now your tips are going to probably go up. You know what I mean?
I know one year they brought the NBA All-Star teams out here and they were playing, and they brought a lot of money out here, but it seems like they're not doing it again.
Yeah, in case you're just tuning in, it's the Market Snapshot with Dan French on News Talk Radio 720 AM here at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Sunday. And just wanted to tell everybody, hopefully you guys are having a good Sunday out there. And what else, Chuck? Let's talk about, you ever heard of swatting?
Swatting?
Yeah.
No.
It's an IRS scam call where someone pretends to be collecting back taxes and penalties in result of swatting.
Yeah.
Last month in Colorado Springs, an incident occurred when there was initiated by the IRS scammers.
Yeah.
So after they targeted the scam, a person to scam, they would contact the IRS and tell them, or contact them saying that they were the IRS, saying that they owed back taxes, and then once that went through, they would place it through a 911 call and have the SWAT team go out there. And this is actually a true story. So apparently they were calling to try to get back taxes and threatened them, and if they didn't do it, they would send the SWAT team. And I don't know how would you even start with that?
I heard a case once where these kids were playing video games, and that's what they would do.
Yeah.
And these kids are like 13, 14 years old.
So you got to blame it on a video game because that's probably where it got started, right?
And basically one of these kids did that, call 911, and they brought a SWAT team out. And then what happened?
That's crazy.
It's crazy, but it's not funny because one of the kids actually died.
Oh, wow.
Actually got shot. And they came and found out, you know, it was a mistake. And the person that called 911 and, you know, said all the things about this house, you know, they got prosecuted. And this kid was only 14.
It's all fun and games until something happens, you know?
Exactly.
And it's just like, you know, that's another way for people to try to get money from people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, is there any way that if you're out there and you're listening to this, there's always somebody out there that's trying to get money from you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, you always got to have that persona that you always got to protect yourself because if you don't, you're going to be taken advantage of at some point, maybe.
I mean, you're absolutely right. It's just like, when we talk to suspects and we turn them into prospects, one of the first things that I tell them to do is just go ahead and Google my name, and they'll find that there's over 62,000 results. Then they'll see the magnitude of real estate I sell. This is important is because at the end of the day, you don't know who's on the other side of the line.
So let's go right over to talk about another thing that came up. An exploit kit is a tool that cyber criminals use to exploit their vulnerabilities in your system and infect it with a malware. It is basically a piece of code which is created to be used for malicious purposes. These kits are available for purchase on the darknet and are typically licensed and supported like regular commercially available software. What does that tell you?
I wasn't paying attention.
That tells you there's another indication that somebody's trying to get your information. The other day I had somebody send me this weird email that said, open up this email. Somebody wants to, needs a donation.
Yeah.
And that had a virus written all over it. And when you see those things, it comes across like some anonymous name.
Yeah.
That you didn't talk to that person. But they're just like, hey, help me. I need this and I need that. And what they do is you click on it, and then they get access to all your computer information.
You should have replied back and said, the money's on its way.
I told them your money was. Matter of fact, I gave them your email, so hopefully.
Oh, my fiat money? Yeah, you can have that fiat money.
Hopefully they'll be contacting you here shortly by email.
They want that fiat money.
When you see something that you don't know, go ahead and click yes.
Yeah. I accept.
Also, did you know that banks are starting to, there's really starting to enroll biometric authentication? Did you know that?
What does that mean?
So 88% of people right now in specific banks are using fingerprint recognition. 7% are using facial recognition, and smaller percentage are using voice recognition. So instead of you coming in and saying, give me your ID, they're now IDing you off of your DNA, or really who you really are. Pretty soon it's going to say,
let me get a soil sample. Let me get a stool sample.
Hey, that could come. You never know, because what if somebody's going to find out how to, go around those. And guess what? Now you have to go take a cup in the restroom, and then you have to come back and take a DNA sample.
Talking about that, let me tell you this, man. Nowadays, if you just deposit cash into an account, they actually charge you money, believe it or not.
How? Tell me the story about that.
Well, I went into the bank probably about a month ago.
Yep.
I'm not going to say how much I deposited, but it was a pretty large amount. And they wanted to charge me like 4% for every single dollar that I had to deposit.
Right.
It was unbelievable. I said, you know what? You can go ahead and give me my money back.
You didn't deposit it?
Didn't deposit it.
Oh, man.
I was like, oh, hell
You got
no.
mattress money now?
It ain't mattress money.
Oh, so let me go ahead and put that address of where you live.
Go. I have multiple. I got multiple. Figure it out.
I'll just So anyways, they're starting to do that phenomenon. An Institute report analysis indicated that the average hacker will spend 70 hours per week to breach a typical IT security infrastructure, and 147 hours to break into an excellent one, and will give up approximately or completely after 209 hours. That's how long they would take before they give up.
Well, let's talk about that for a second.
That's 8.7 days.
Dang, you got the numbers, don't you?
Yeah, I do have the numbers.
I want to talk about that. That's a very good point. So what happens if you run across a consumer that has a problem like that, and they're like, Dan, this has nothing to do with me. Like, how does that work? I mean, are you guiding them in the right direction?
Here's the thing. It's not really about, is it affecting me? Could it affect you? It doesn't have the ability to affect your life. I mean, I can't count how many people that I talk to on a daily basis that go and use our free credit services. Yeah, that's free.
Free?
Free.
99.
Free 99 that use that credit services, and what they do is they say, you know what, a lot of this stuff on my credit, it's not me. Somebody used my information, and now they've racked up a couple of things, and I had a couple things now that with the high amount that I'm disputing.
So how does somebody approach something like that, or how do you take care of that situation?
They have to take care of it individually. They have to go on a bureau level and talk to them and say, you know what, this wasn't me. They're going to probably ask for documentation and things like that of, whatever they request. to get it removed. And I'll tell you, it happens more than you think. So if you think it won't happen to you, it will.
So you would have to dispute it with the 3 business bureaus. Not the 3 business bureaus, but
you have to dispute it on direct contact with them. Like for me as a free credit services, I could just say, you have to go contact these 3 people or these 3 entities and tell them this is your story. Then you can have the ability to remove it. But just to go through that process and also have it affect your credit rating because you have debt on there that maybe you didn't count on, especially when you're looking at something like purchasing a home, it really puts people in a bad position.
So it sounds like you should probably be pulling your credit every 6 months.
I would say yes. I would say you would always want to take a look at your credit. We have things at Nova Home Loans called the soft pull.
Yeah. Soft pull?
And we've talked about hard pulls.
Hard pulls.
And now we're going to talk about soft pulls. So when you have a soft pull, what happens is they just take a quick snapshot view that does not affect your credit rating as much as a hard pull would. So they look at it, they see the soft pull, and they say, you know what? Everything on your file, and you can do that with me right now.
Is there a charge for that?
No, it's free.
Oh, okay.
And you just have to get a consent form filled out saying that you obviously are agreeing to do this, but it's free. And I can tell you something, it helps people. And not only that, if you wanted to do that, I don't mind doing that for you, so long as I'm going to be doing your loan.
Your card loan or credit card, hard money. Oh, you don't do all that?
No, I don't do all that. I just said residential loan, okay? So residential mortgage loan. So if you're going to do that, that's what I would recommend. Also, did you know that household debt increased by 4% in the fourth quarter? Student loan and auto financing are growing the most, while mortgage and HELOC numbers are steadily falling. But why do you think that's happening?
I don't know. Tell me.
I'm going to tell you why. Because most people don't have a mortgage anymore. A lot of people are not purchasing. So when you see these numbers like, yeah, we're doing great, the mortgage debt's down, all this debt related to housing's down. Well, it's because a lot of people have just not bought. They're not going to buy. And
so basically they're moving money elsewhere as far as buying cars.
They're holding money, doing, maybe they're just not interested in buying a home. I don't know. But I can tell you that's not because we as consumers have become so much more responsible. I think there has been some growth there, but it's not going to change it that much. I think what's really going on is we just don't have as many people having mortgages anymore. Once you've been burned, you have a short sale or foreclosure or something like that, then you're not going to buy, or maybe they just don't want to buy. They're just, you know what? I'm just going to sit it out. Some people don't want to get in the game anymore.
So would you say that we are coming into a recession?
I wouldn't say a recession. I just think that there's numbers right now that indicate that we're on a volatile situation with our economy. I think that there's signs that show that we're doing good, and then there's signs that definitely show that we're regressing. And it's definitely important to keep looking at the things we talk about on the show, because it could affect us as an economy again. It could affect us here in Las Vegas, even though we're doing well. Who's to say that this isn't going to show its ugly head again? Not saying on a level of where, we were at in 2005 and 2006, but, who's to say it won't go back to those numbers or towards that direction, just kind of hinting, regression, So who knows? I don't know. But I know, like we talked about the unemployment rate, there's a lot of things that's fudged that people don't understand. It's not just, well, we're doing great because everybody's got employment. Really, no. Everybody's on a part-time job. We become a part-time society for work.
And most of our jobs are outsourced to different countries.
Well, and here's the thing. We talked about taxes and things on this show. I mean, everybody's got to pay taxes, but, in Connecticut, they get 40% of the income tax is taxed there.
That's crazy.
40%. A lot of those people are taking their stuff across seas. They're taking them to Puerto Rico and things like that, because right now you can get 4% tax instead of getting a 35% tax bracket, where they're taking, think about that. They're taking 25 to 35% of your pay. That means you're working, like you said, 4 months out of the year just to pay taxes, and then the rest is all profit. So that's a big deal. You got to look at that stuff because it's going to affect you. If you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, somebody, you have to look at those things.
So let's take a look at this as a whole. If you make $51,000 in a state of Nevada, okay, across the board, you're working 3 months out of the year,
right?
Basically to pay taxes. So you're probably paying taxes, I would say about $15,000 to $20,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say if you bought a home, you're really getting that money back because you're using it as a tax write-off.
Well, but the thing is this: you're using it. You don't get the money back. You just get the interest write-off on it. So it's not like you're getting all that money back. But what you got to also put in perspective is there's been talks through, some of these candidates that we have for president. They might be raising rates or taxes, excuse me. and if they raise taxes, how many people are going to want to, want to pay more? We already have a problem, I think, as it is.
Yeah.
And then you have more people talking about, or more politicians saying we're going to raise taxes again. Everybody's going to outsource their information or their banks or their businesses to other countries.
Mm-hmm.
That way they're not getting taxed so much. 4% versus 35, 40%. I'm
That's
taking
a big deal.
I'm taking the 4%. And that's huge. And there's no taxation on dividends.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not do that?
Correct.
So Zillow also analyzed home values and rents in urban and suburban areas. At the end of 2015, the typical U.S. home in the urban area was around $269,000, about 2% more than the average value of the suburban home, worth a year prior to $263,000. So it does show that they went up a little bit, right, year over year.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think the housing market's at right now with that? I mean, you think that we did see signs that the housing market and the housing development and starts are obviously down for the month of January. So where does that keep us? I mean, yeah, the values are going up.
I feel that we've already peaked. We really have.
Well, the values are going up, but at the same point, where the properties that we're selling, if they're going down, it's just kind of doing the same thing, because now you might be selling less home, but at a higher value versus a volume of homes versus a lower value.
So basically, at the end of the day, 2016 is going to reflect off of 2015.
I don't think what's going to happen, too, and I'm going to talk about this more, I don't think rate hikes are going to happen this year.
I don't either. If they do,
I don't.
QE4.
Well, QE4, we're going to talk about that. Now, let me say something about this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So they're talking about raising it 4. Then I talk about 3 that I said.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to raise it 1, because I don't think that the economy is healthy enough to do that.
Yeah, they can't do it.
And we're going to talk about more about Japan put a negative interest rate. You know that there's been talks about putting negative interest rate or declining our interest rate here for mortgages here, and just our overall interest rate, to try to compensate and get people intrigued. Our business right now, I'm going to say half of my business right now. I mean, we still have a lot of people. I have a lot of people approved for a home loan. They're out looking for a home. Half of it is refinances. Half. And if you go back a year ago, yeah, it was that much, but it seems like now, because it seems like people are maybe missed that train at the beginning of last year. It's now, come back, and that's one of the biggest things that's going on right now is refinances in the mortgage and lending, industry right now. There's a lot of refinances. We're going to talk about that, but I don't see as a whole the housing market where it needs to be. And I don't know if, like we've talked about.
What do you mean where it needs to be?
Well, I don't think that the housing market is, like you said, compensates for the average wage earner here.
Yeah.
If you're moving from another state, which a lot of people do, think about this. You're from California, you're from Arizona, you're from one of these other states. Typically, you're selling your home. A lot of people do this, and then they move here. And they take that money and those proceeds, and then they buy another house with it. A lot of times they do that while they set up for a job or they have a job lined up.
Yeah.
But let's say if you move here and you're starting out at ground zero, and then you're going to try to work your way into it, maybe put yourself through college, I don't know, but you're starting out in hospitality or something, and you're on a fixed income. Those people can't typically qualify for the average median home. They just can't. They can't qualify for a $220,000 purchase home or a loan amount.
So basically, the prices are going up, and they're getting bought out of the market based upon their income.
That's exactly right. And here's the thing. You have people that get tips. I get that. But when you get those W-2 forms and tax returns, a lot of times those tips are not included. Why? Because you don't want to be taxed on it. Mm-hmm. I understand that, but you're going to have a problem if you're trying to finance something.
So it's a catch-22.
It is. This is the same with big business. It's the same with anything.
Yeah.
You can say that you have write-offs, and you can say that you have things that you don't, that your business needs and things. But at the same time, if you're going and saying, you know what, I'm going to use that income to purchase something, you're going to affect yourself. It's Dan French with the Market Snapshot. We'll be right back. We have a whole lot of show left. We're going to talk with about interest rate trending, housing market statistics that we're going to talk about. And we're also going to go over and give away the Galaxy Theater tickets. We'll be right back.
Get the latest financing and real estate news anytime you like. Just log on to danfrenchloans.com.
Oh, sure, I can do that.
Don't you dare go away. More with Dan and Company coming right up here on the Market Snapshot.
new home of Sean Hannity in Las Vegas. News Talk 720, KDWN, a Beasley Media Group station.
AP Radio News. I'm Ed Donahue. President Obama and his wife Michelle say Nancy Reagan redefined the role of First Lady, and they benefited from her proud example. Nancy Reagan died in California. She was 94. The AP's Mark Smith reports the Obamas also praised Nancy Reagan as a forceful advocate on Alzheimer's disease.
The Obamas say during her long goodbye with her husband, Mrs. Reagan became a voice on behalf of millions of families suffering through the aching reality of Alzheimer's. In a written statement, they note she beat the drum for better treatments and cutting-edge research that they say hold the potential to improve and save lives.
Ronald Reagan died in 2004. John Haybush with the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation and Library says it has been a tough 12 years for Nancy Reagan.
Can't tell you how many times I've had conversations with her where she missed the president greatly. She truly did.
In Columbus, Ohio today, former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger paid tribute to Nancy and Ronald Reagan.
I know she will join him now in heaven, and this love affair between the two of them will start all over again.
Democratic presidential candidate and former First Lady Hillary Clinton says Nancy Reagan leaves a remarkable legacy of good. Clinton and Bernie Sanders will be meeting tonight in Flint, Michigan, in a presidential debate. Flint is a city struggling with drinking water tainted by lead. The economy is expected to take up a lot of the discussion tonight. Republican leaders are grappling with the idea the best hope for stopping Donald Trump's march to the nomination may be Ted Cruz. RNC Chair Reince Priebus said it's too early to talk about a brokered convention.
I just think these are hypotheticals at this point. There's a long way to go. There's over, 1,650 delegates, I think, to go.
He was on ABC's This Week. Ted Cruz split contest with Trump yesterday. This is AP Radio News. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani says the Islamic State group has been defeated in the eastern part of the country. In an address on live TV, Ghani said Afghanistan will be their graveyard. The Islamic State group has had a presence in Afghanistan for more than a year. This is day one of the Iditarod sled dog race in Alaska. It starts in Willow and covers about 1,000 miles to Nome, Alaska. Musher Brent Stass says he likes his chances.
It's shaping up real nice. I'm really excited about this race. The dogs came off the quest real strong, and I got 12 of those dogs in this team and 4 fresh legs. So, yeah, I'm real excited about the trail ahead.
There are 85 mushers signed up this year for the race, which crosses long stretches of unforgiving terrain, including 2 mountain ranges and the Bering Sea coast. Police in Daytona Beach, Florida say a woman crashed through the infield of the Daytona International Speedway. 6 cars were hit, 4 people were injured. Police say the woman failed her sobriety test. I'm Ed Donahue, AP Radio News.
And checking the KDWN forecast. Calling for a cloudy sky today, windy and a bit of rain. Also a high in the mid-60s. More clouds and a possible evening shower for Monday, with a high temperature tomorrow only right around 60. Currently, scattered clouds and a light drizzle across the valley, 67 degrees, and more of the market snapshot. Coming up next here on News Talk 720, KDWN.
Did you know you can complete most DMV transactions from almost anywhere? Take care of your vehicle and license needs online or at one of our conveniently located kiosks. Visit dmvnv.com to stay on the go with the Nevada DMV.
Purchasing your first home or refinancing your current home are both major financial decisions that necessitate having the right person on your side. Hi, I'm Dan French with Nova Home Loans, and I'll put my 9 years experience to work for you to make the loan process as easy as possible. Call me today, Dan French, at 702-216-3907.
And for real estate and home financing news you can use, catch the Market Snapshot every Sunday from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. on News Talk 720, KDWN.
It's the $1,000 Word of the Day giveaway. Every weekday, News Talk 720 KDWN is giving you the chance to be the nationwide winner of $1,000. Every weekday morning at 7:15, Dave and Chad will tell you what time the Word of the Day will be revealed. Make sure your radio is on News Talk 720 KDWN at that winning time. When you're given the $1,000 Word of the Day, you'll have 15 minutes to enter that word using the KDWN app on your smartphone or tablet. tablet, or you can enter online in the KDWN Listener Live Player at KDWN.com. If you're the randomly selected nationwide winner, $1,000 is yours.
Kick ass.
Plus, everyone who enters the $1,000 Word of the Day contest will be entered into a random drawing for our grand prize, $10,000. Win or lose the daily contest, you could still win 10 grand.
10 grand.
The $1,000 Word of the Day giveaway, brought to you by News Talk 720 KDWN.
Hi, this is Adam Frazier with Wish Upon a Wedding Las Vegas. We are the world's first wish-granting organization, finding couples in our community who are facing terminal illness or life-altering circumstances and granting wedding wishes for them. One thing that we need more than anything else is couples. If you know of anyone who is facing terminal illness or a life-altering situation, send them to wishuponawedding.org. We would love to meet them, get to know their story, and hopefully grant their wedding wish.
You're listening to the Market Snapshot with Dan French from Nova Home Loans. Got a question about home financing or real estate? Call Dan now, 702-257-KDWN.
Welcome back to the Market Snapshot. It's Dan French from Nova Home Loans, your go-to mortgage specialist here in Las Vegas. In studio, I have Chakits ITZ Krulsawat.
Yeah.
From Simply Vegas. Chakits is going to leave here in scurry.
Why?
Right over to the NASCAR weekend.
It's actually drizzling outside. You see that?
Nice, but you know what? Let me say something about that. You could still listen to us live. On the KDWN app. Phone app. Download that app. Also, you can give us a call in studio if you have any questions, financing or real estate. You know, we'd like to hear from you. I know there's a lot of people out there that maybe there's not a sense of urgency to purchasing a home. Maybe if you have a question refinancing your home, maybe you're getting in the market in 6 months, 12 years, or 12 months.
12 years?
Yeah. You know what? 12 years, I'll get you on a plan.
Hey, we'll still be in business. That's a good thing. We ain't going nowhere.
Well, we might change our business model.
Yeah, that's right.
You going to change yours?
I don't know.
All right, there you go. Anyway, so we have a great thing going on here. We're going to give away this Galaxy Theater tickets. And I want the producer. Producer, are you around today? Where are you at?
Hey, right over here.
There he is, Mr. Producer.
And the movie quote this week is a little more obscure because folks told me last week was too easy.
Oh, come now.
They thought that Napoleon Dynamite was too easy to get.
Come now. Let's come on. We got to get something.
Let's hear it.
Let's get it.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm kind of psychic. I have a fifth sense. What do you mean? It's like I have ESPN or something. My breasts can always tell when it's gonna rain. Really? That's amazing. Well, they can tell when it's raining.
It is raining. What a coincidence.
Mm-hmm. Her breasts can tell, so.
Raining how?
I have no clue what that movie is.
What type of rain is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the wet rain or a different rain?
I'm lost. Let's move on to the housing market.
It's the kind you can clean your head with.
All right. Enough jokes. Let's go right back into the housing market statistics. Chuck, give us some good information. I want the audience to understand what's out there, what you and what your challenges have been, some experiences that you've dealt with over this last week. Can you
yeah, of course. Let's start off with this. Where do you think we are at today with the median price?
You just told me 220.
No, that was actually average. But today.
Oh, maybe 222.
Nope. You're off. Well, check this out. If we look at a median price right now for a 3-bedrooms, 1,800 square feet home, was actually originally listed for $229,000. Sales price today is at $225,000.
$225,000.
So it's gone up about $5,000.
Got it.
So what this tells you is that these properties are still moving quickly.
Yeah.
But if we take a look at properties around the $330,000 and up, your average days on the market is about 90 days before.
90 days. 90 days?
90 days.
That's a 3-month time period.
That is, which is still good, but you have to understand that a lot of people in Vegas are not qualified for $330,000 and up.
That's let's talk about that. So the 287.5 is FHA cap.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have problems when they have to exceed that.
Yeah.
And if they're only qualified for FHA for whatever reason, maybe you had a bankruptcy or you had a short sale and
low down payment or something.
Well, low down payment, your credit rating is a little bit lower, so you can't qualify for the conventional mortgage insurance. Well, guess what?
And that really suppresses the market.
It does, because how many properties out there right now are above 287.5? Is there a lot?
That's a good question. I have to pull that up.
Yeah, because I'll tell you right now, let's say it's even 50% of the market. That's 50% that the market is not, you have buyers out there, and anything above the 287.5, it's probably not going to have as many buyers out there, so you're going to be sitting on your property longer, right?
That's right. We actually have a total for just single-family residents only. There's a total of 3,639 properties that are above the FHA guideline.
Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. If we take a look at the total amount for single-family residents, we have about 7,100.
So let me ask this question. If you have a buyer that comes in, have you this last week?
Yeah.
Most of your buyers, they're probably all different type of ranges, right? What is the buyer that you deal with? Do you deal with them differently versus somebody under the 287.5? I mean, I know you probably give the same spiel, but you obviously can open up that the horizons a little bit on, well, you're not just, put in this position or this location because you're capped at how much you can purchase.
Well, basically how it works is we run all the numbers and the data. I mean, let's say, you are at 225,500. So what we do is we take a look at all the properties that are currently on the market, the type of home that you're looking to buy. If it's a single family residence, townhome, condo, whatever it is.
Right.
If it's a single family resident, then from there it gets broken down.
Right.
Now, while we break it down, it's going to show you the amount of homes that are currently available to pick and choose from.
Right.
The reason why this is important is to really make you a better home shopper, so that way you are aware of what's out there in the current market and what the challenges are. Because if we take a look as far as for the closing ratios, as I mentioned before in past shows, 30% are cash buyers, 30% are conventional, 30% are actually FHA buyers, and 9% are VA buyers. So that tells you where you really lie on the closing ratios. If you are a VA buyer, the chances of you getting a home accepted are very slim. But if you work with an aggressive agent enough, you should be able to get those deals done.
Anything else?
No, I thought you were going to ask me a question.
Well, I got another question for you. So let's say, is closing costs getting paid by the seller? Now, I'm going to tell you something. I had somebody come in and there was 409. They were trying to purchase a home at that price range, and they're asking for $7,000 closing costs. They're asking for all this amenities that come with it. Well, if I'm a person selling a house at 409, one, I know that there's not a lot of buyers out there, right? Now, so you got to put that in consideration. But there's enough buyers to say, well, if you can't do that, somebody at 409 is typically somebody that has probably a good established business, or they're working and they have a good living. They have
can pay their closing costs.
Exactly. They have the funds to put down. You might want to refrain, and is there a price point where you see that really dropping off? Like, is it 300?
I notice that's more common with FHA buyers, because they're going in putting putting 3.5% down. But I can say a lot of VA buyers do have cash on the side. Okay.
Well, let me say this.
But they just don't want to pay their closing costs.
You have a conventional buyer lined up right next to a VA buyer. Now, VA buyers and the VA program is the best loan program that's out there, but a lot of times they're asking for closing costs.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't want to, as a seller, contribute. Now, do you take do you take the person that's a conventional buyer that has closing costs, that has funds to get your loan closed, or to get their loan closed, and not have to worry about all the extras that come with VA and FHA buyers?
Well, one of the things that we evaluate when working with the seller is when we get the purchase agreement in, the first thing I look at is how much money the seller is going to make. That's the main factor.
Right.
The second thing is, are they fully approved? And that's where I send them over to you to make sure that these buyers are fully approved, because we don't want to waste time with these buyers, because sometimes buyers will walk into their bank and they'll get issued out a pre-qual letter.
Right.
And it's not even a conditional approval. I don't know what the conditions are. So that's why I send them off to you. Then from there, we take a look at the conditions as far as the things that they're asking for. Based upon the contract, is this a smooth transaction? Okay, that's another factor that we take a look at. Sometimes sellers will accept a lower offer by $1,000 or $2,000, just depending on the seller, if it is a clean transaction.
Okay.
Because the seller wants to sell the property. They don't want to tie it up in the escrow to see what if can we get this deal closed.
Well, and then I walked into one property, and the property that I looked at probably had about $30,000 to $35,000 work that needed to be done.
Yeah.
But down the street from this property that they were purchasing, I looked at another one. This was online. It was at 409. They're selling it for 425, or I'm sorry, 430.
Yeah.
I understand there's like 60,000, but let's say you have a house like that versus a house that maybe is a walk-in house. I know does it make sense, though, where a lot of buyers will look and see the value in a house where you have, the square footage on that was like an extra 1,500 square foot.
This is where we have to take a look at the pros and cons. Like I had a client yesterday, we showed properties.
Right.
She wanted to get a home that's close to the strip because this is like a vacation home, a second home, whatever it is. She wanted to pay around $220,000, but the homes were built in the 60s. Okay. And for her style and her taste, it was probably going to cost her another $80,000 to rehab the property to get it up to where she wants it. So she's spending $300,000. So if you're going to spend $300,000, let's go take a look at some newer homes that are already completely built. That's your style that are $300,000, and let's see if it makes sense or not. Because that's where you have to weigh the pros and cons. Right. At the end of the day, I'm not telling her to, go with the newer home. It's really up to you.
Right.
Do you want to save money on your loan up front and spend the cash, right, to make those rehabs and those repairs later on? Or do you want to go ahead and just finance that deal into a move-in ready home?
Absolutely.
So it's really a case-by-case basis. Now, let me get back to the closing costs. Now, in today's market, it is always best that the buyer pays their own closing costs. The reason why is because the seller will always accept an offer with the highest amount of money that they can get on the deal.
Well, look at it from a seller standpoint.
Yeah.
As a consumer, yes, you're trying to save money. You're trying to get things that maybe walking into a home, you want to have every dollar you can get. But at the same time, the seller's leaving.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get every dollar that they invested in for the period of time.
Correct.
So you got to have that happy medium where if one person can't just be taking advantage of the whole situation unless it's a flip, or let's say it's an investor that maybe has a property, or let's say they just have a ton of equity and they just want to get out of the city or get out of state,
And also it's really case-by-case basis because we can go take a look at a home. Let's say comps are at $225, but the asking price is at $210. I know it will appraise at $225 on an FHA loan.
Right.
Now what we can do is offer a little bit more money to substitute that cost. Now the seller's still making what they want. Buyers are still happy. They're getting their closing costs paid for, and we're just rolling it over to the loan.
My experiences, anything over $300,000, I have not been getting closing costs. I've been getting maybe a little bit, but not all closing costs are being paid. And I think you have to look at it why. Well, you go over $287,500 or over that $300,000 mark. Those closing costs start to get up high.
Yeah,
you're talking $7,000, $8,000,
$9,000.
That's a lot of money.
And also you have to take a look. Normally on conventional and cash buyers, they're paying their own closing costs versus FHA and VA asking for closing costs.
Right. So, in the sense of looking at the housing market. How do you feel about it right now?
I feel that the housing market is strong, and the reason why is because we're setting about 5 appointments every single week. Buyers are now coming out of the woodworks, and they're just trying to get as much as home as possible.
Because money's cheap if you're borrowing.
Correct. And I've noticed majority of my buyers is actually owners from out of state, where they're actually going to come out here and retire.
Right.
The reason why is because of, number one, the weather. And remember, baby boomers, from here on out, from now until 2020, from now till the year of 2029, baby boomers, there's going to be over 19,000 people retiring every single day.
Yeah, that's a lot.
19,000 every single day.
Right.
Now, I asked these people, baby boomers, why are you moving out to Vegas? Number one, the weather. Okay. Also because of their health conditions, home prices is still cheap, and also for tax purposes as well.
You also got to look at the fact that it's tax season.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are coming to me using that for a down payment.
Yeah.
And you have to take in consideration of that. I have somebody right now, they got $8,000 back for their taxes, and how that's important.
How do they get $8,000?
I don't know. I owe $80.
I got to pay like 4 times, 5 times more.
No, I'm just playing. We don't pay that much, but listen, it's enough for me to take a look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I want to know where my money's going.
Yeah, exactly. So, you look
Get
at the
Greg
tax
on the
season.
phone.
Greg, save us some money, please. Put him on the phone, please.
Go ahead.
Anyways, tax season's here.
Yeah.
I have a down payment assistance program, Home is Possible. We also have one that's called Home at Last. It's another program. Okay, 5%. It's pretty lenient. It's
Home at Last.
Home at Last. Here's the biggest difference is that the credit, and this has come out just a couple weeks ago. You might want to call me to listen to that. By the way, if you have any questions financing or real estate, you can give us a call in studio, 702-257-5396. Again, I'm going to throw the number out there. We want to hear from you. I know it's gloomy, but I want to hear from you. We're also going to play a movie quote real quick here in a little bit, and we're going to play that movie quote if you can get the name of the actor And also the name of the movie, you're going to get tickets for 2 to Galaxy Theaters. And also you can look at my website. It's a brand new website, danfrenchloans.com. That's LOANS. And you can call me outside studio to schedule a free consultation, 781-6682. And one last thing here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how many things I've said, but you could text
me. You can tweet me, link me in. It's all about me.
Hey,
yeah.
Me. And me.
Hey, you should have a website that me.com.
me.com. And you can go to and text me 6682 to 55,000. You can schedule a consultation through there. You can ask a question. You can follow me again on Facebook, and then you could follow me again on Twitter. That's all from there. So anyways,
there's no way not to get a hold of you.
Listen, I have enough me's in my pocket to last the rest of the show.
Hey, your mom raised you right, huh?
Just playing.
She was milking you all the way. This is my son. This is my baby boy right here.
All right, let's talk about application news. You ready for this?
I'm always ready.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the dollar. All right, the reason the dollar rose is because that everybody was convinced that we had recovery, and now it's showing signs of weakening. At a quarter-point hike at the end of this year, it did affect that, and that's why we're starting to show signs of, I think there's a little bit of signs of regression in the unemployment market. Or the unemployment sector, and also we've also seen declines in the housing starts. The economy is still slowly, like we talked about it. Walmart and places like that. Their overall production, their revenue is not up. They projected it to be up, and it actually was even. So what that tells you is that the economy started off slow, and it stayed slow, and it's stagnant, and everybody thinks, well, the economy's recovering, it's going one direction. It's really not. It's just kind of
flatline.
It's flatlined. It's stagnant. They're probably going to do a QE4 at some point. They're not going to raise interest rates. I don't think it's going to happen this year, and they can't. They might even have to go the other direction like we talked about.
And what happens is this really weakens our dollar.
It does weaken our dollar, and you know what? The purchasing power of that dollar is very minimal right now. And I'll tell you that the Canadian dollar
is stronger.
Is really, and it's not stronger, but it's shown signs of strength, and it's really starting to, and we had this the last time that they were almost even. I think they even passed us for a little bit.
Why is this important?
It's important because it's going to affect you as a consumer, because inflation might come in, and your cost of goods and services will go up. Right now you're getting oil that's cheap, but you know what? If inflation and cost of goods are going up, which they are, you can't really use that money and go buy other things like at Walmart and things like that, because now you're focused more on holding your money or putting it towards bills, because now at the cost of living and the cost of employment, these businesses, they got to, if they raise, the wage earner of whoever they're employing, if that goes up, they're going to have to make up for it some way, so they're going to raise the cost.
Every country's economy is very important, okay? The dollar or their currency is important. And the reason why this is important is because if we go strong, you have other countries that buy our stocks and bonds.
Absolutely.
If we have a weak dollar, they no longer purchase our products, and they don't send products out, and it makes us even weaker.
And what does Walmart have? Huh? Everything is not being, all the manufacturing part of it, it's all China.
Exactly.
It's all outsourced out.
Correct.
The only thing that's that Walmart and the place, and we're using Walmart because they are a conglomerate here. The only thing that they have that's here is the food. And all the food is all distributed within here.
And other countries used to trade with other countries by using the dollar metric system, but they no longer use the dollar metric system because our dollar is weak. So now what they are doing is going from one country to another country and bypassing us because our economy is weak and our dollar is strong. That's why it's so important that we must thrive through the economy. And I believe that we should just go, prick the bubble and just start all over.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt us, but we have to get that started immediately.
So refinances that did come up this week, and I'm talking about here with interest rates. The average interest rate on a 30-year fixed loan right now is average about 3.64%. This is up from last week, but really it's not up very much. It's up very minimal. Refinances did come up again. A lot of it was the rate hike and some of the stuff that happened, and then the economy showed where there was weakening in some areas. The GDP wasn't as good.
Yeah.
So what happened is that when that occurred, our market is all about confidence. It's all about, does the consumer have confidence to go out and spend their money because they know that money is going to be replaced? They don't have that right now. Therefore, applications went down for refinances 2 weeks ago. Well, it showed signs that obviously there was some indication this last week that we did get a little bit better. But you know what? We still are. Our stock market is very, uneven right now as far as how it's trending. It's really trending in a lot of ways bad.
Well, this is where I'm confused because I've been looking at the Dow Jones, and the Dow Jones is actually up at 1,700 basis points. But a couple weeks ago, we were at 1,500.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit confused on this.
Let me tell you something. I just read something that they're thinking by the year, I think it's in the early 2020s,
yeah,
that we're going to possibly hit 25,000 on the Dow Jones. I don't know if that's accurate, but
yeah, that's if QE 4, 5, 6, 7.
That's what I'm saying. This QE thing may never stop.
Yeah.
So,
and the problem is, remember, the more money that we print, what happens is that causes inflation.
Yeah. Let me tell you about the 15-year, 2.94% versus the expected 2.93. So that was a little bit worse. We also want to look at the application part of it. Like I said, the applications were they were about even. They were a little bit up in some sectors. The refinance was actually up. Purchase was down a little bit. And I wanted to say this. The refinance share mortgage activity decreased to its lowest in 2016 with 58.6% of total applications. And then a month later, it obviously went up because they seen that rates started to get good. But looking at the overall picture, mortgage bonds finished the week slightly lower, which pushed rates higher. Mixed data caused uncertainty. The ADP employment was stronger than expected at 214,000. Continuing claims came in at 2,257,000 versus the expected 2,258,000. Revised QE4 or quarter 4 productivity came in at 2.2% versus the 3.3%. So the unemployment data was mixed.
Yeah.
We talked about that at the beginning. It's very convoluted when you have people that are, yes, it looks like it's good when it's 5%, but it's
part-time jobs.
But it's part-time jobs.
Yeah.
Then you go over to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that the total non-farm payroll employment increased to 242,000 in February.
Mm-hmm.
So this is huge. The Fed has a huge challenge with mixed data. Higher than expected payrolls and increase in earnings for the year support the case that wage inflation is emerging and additional rate hikes may be needed. But I don't see how they can do that.
They're not going to do that. But I think the reason why they're talking is because they need to make sure that, they got to provide this information to the consumer so that way the consumer feels like, hey, our economy is good, basically.
They're passing the confidence to the consumer that it's good, but it's not there.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because if you look at it as a whole and you listen to the show, we're going to give you raw data as far as up-to-date stuff that we get that we're not going to just tell you what you want to hear. We're going to tell you what's really the facts, and then you can make the judgment for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, last week, mortgage interest rates finished the week approximately 1/8 of a point worse. Now, refinances were doing okay. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make a huge difference, but in some cases it does. I priced out a loan that was $417, which was the cap. That's the difference, almost $120 is what it was total.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal versus somebody that's going to get 1/8 of a point. Now, if you're obviously on a lower loan level, it doesn't make that big of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the rates, you look at where things are at, refinances is where it's at right now. Refinances are hot. It's the time to do it. They might even take your interest rates towards a negative direction. I don't know, or even lowering it towards the 3 or 2%. That's not unrealistic. So don't think that couldn't happen. And if it does, we're going to see another wave of refinances.
Should I be waiting for a refinance, or should I just jump in it right now?
I think you should always consider the option. I think, they did a survey. Mm-hmm. Refinances last year were up quite a bit. The average person taking out equity in their home was about $60,000.
Oh, my gosh.
So that's a lot. Now, obviously, that's debt, but you know what? You might need that to pay things, and that's where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, they can't pay for their some of the everyday expenditure.
We're in a nation of debt.
So, it's just, hey, take more. But here's the thing. This is a good reason. Now, I'm not going to put you in a 30-year fixed loan if you've been paying on your mortgage note for 8-9 years. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is consider giving you a 15-year, and then we're going to weigh out what is really the difference in payment.
So you're going to break it down then?
I'm going to break it down because I'm not going to just give somebody something because I feel like that I'm just trying to get a sale. That's not my goal. My goal is to help you and get repeat business. Dan French with the Market Snapshot here on News Talk Radio 720 AM. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about QE4 and the possibility. Also, we're going to put that movie quote out there and see if we can give away these Galaxy movie theater tickets. Stay tuned.
Get the latest financing and real estate news anytime you like. Just log on to danfrenchloans.com.
Oh, sure, I can do that.
Don't you dare go away. More with Dan and Company coming right up here on the Market Snapshot.
Teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Home or refinancing your current home are both major financial decisions that necessitate having the right person on your side. Hi, I'm Dan French with Nova Home Loans, and I'll put my 9 years experience to work for you to make the loan process as easy as possible. Call me today, Dan French, at 702-216-3907.
And for real estate and home financing news you can use, catch the Market Snapshot every Sunday from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. on News Talk 720 KDWN.
AP Update, I'm Ed Donahue. Former First Lady Nancy Reagan has died in California. She was remembered today at her church, Bel Air Presbyterian. Reverend Drew Sams is the senior pastor.
We as fellow believers in Christ can rejoice on one hand and grieve in a different way because we know that Nancy is in the presence of the one that she has served.
Outside the Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, Margie Garrett-Kochias paid her respects to Nancy Reagan.
I imagine she was frail, and I imagine it was time, but I think it's a loss, and I think she was a lovely woman.
From the White House today, President Obama and his wife Michelle say Nancy Reagan redefined the role of First Lady, and they are fortunate to have benefited from her proud example. An aide says Nancy Reagan died of congenital heart failure in Bel Air, California. She was 94 years old. AP Update, I'm Ed Donahue.
At Frias, your safety is our concern, and it comes with no surge pricing. Our Frias taxi drivers must pass a pre-employment drug test, ongoing random drug testing, and a state of Nevada FBI fingerprint background check before serving you and your family. We see every driver prior to their shift in our Frias-owned vehicles. And for your added peace of mind, you may call our team 24 hours a day. Call 702-888-4888 or download the Curb app and take a Frias taxi today.
Excuse me. I'm driving behind a smoking vehicle. You know, a car with an exhaust that's an environmental hazard in and of itself. If you spot a vehicle emitting too much pollution here in Nevada, be a smog spotter. Remember the license plate number and call us at 844-N-SMOG after you're done driving. Or visit smogspotter.com and report it online. Help us keep Nevada's air breathable and safe for everyone. Be a smog spotter. Brought to you by the Nevada DMV.
Hi guys, this is Cheryl Greenblatt, the Director of Communications and Cuddling for Hearts Alive Village Animal Rescue. Have you ever thought about fostering a dog? Hearts Alive pays for everything. All you do is give time, a place to stay, and love to an amazing animal in need. Want to find out more? Check out havlv.com or stop into our adoption center and pet supply store at 1750 South Rainbow Boulevard, Unit 4. That's just south of Charleston, and we will give you all the information, and hopefully you can take home a dog.
Looking for a new job? Meet face-to-face with dozens of great companies at the LasVegasJobs.com job fair on Thursday, March 10th at the Texas Station from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is your opportunity to meet with some of the best employers in the Valley, offering hundreds of real jobs. Be sure to dress for success, bring lots of resumes, and be ready to apply for your new job. You can go to LasVegasJobs.com now to print your VIP pass. Find your new job this Thursday, March 10th at the Texas Station from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. For more information, go to LasVegasJobs.com. That's LasVegasJobs.com.
Everybody down! Dwayne Johnson here. The
The earthquakes you see in movies are one thing, but real life is a completely different animal. Just because you can't predict an earthquake doesn't mean that you can't prepare for one. In the event of a real earthquake, you should drop, cover, and hold on. Visit ready.gov/earthquake and practice what to do to keep you and your family safe in the event of a real earthquake. And you'll be seen as a hero by your family and your loved ones.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Market Snapshot with Dan French from Nova Home Loans. Got a question about home financing or real estate? Call Dan now, 702-257-KDWN.
And welcome back to the Market Snapshot. This is Dan French from Nova Home Loans, your go-to mortgage specialist here in Las Vegas. Is that all right, Chuck?
With ITZ. Look at this fool, man. He just rolled up like he was Howard Stern.
Who's this?
You.
Come on, man. Hey, now.
Producer's starting the show. Dan just rolls in like he's a man.
We're going to play that movie quote. If you have any questions, financing, real estate, or anything on any topic that we have that we discuss, unemployment, anything, and you have a question on it, we'd like to talk with you as well. It doesn't always have to be financing or real estate related. Give us a call in studio, 702-257-5396. Again, it's 702-257-5396. And if you want to get a hold of me outside studio, 781-6682 Nova. I have a website that I've created, danfrenchloans.com. You can go check that out. And that's about it. If you want to download the app, download the app. That way you can stream us live. If you don't want to drive around in this gloomy, rainy day, which we understand.
Or if you don't even want to get out of your car, contact Dan with the address, right? With
That's right. It's all about me.
All about me.
Anyways, let's go right back into it. Let's play the movie quote. And if you have any questions, again, or if you want to talk about the movie quote, you know the actor, and you know who the movie is, call us in studio, 702-257-5396, and then guess that. Go ahead and play that movie quote.
I'm kind of psychic. I have a fifth sense. What do you mean? It's like I have ESPN or something. My breasts can always tell when it's gonna rain. Really? That's amazing. Well, they can tell when it's raining.
If anybody out there knows that movie, the actor, you will get a Galaxy Theater tickets for 2. You need to call in studio, 702-257-5396, and guess that movie quote. Chuck?
I have no idea.
Neither do I.
Got me stumped on that.
That's the first one I got stumped on. So let's go right back into it. I was talking about rates and where they're going to head. You know, rates are going, I think they're going to be in a good direction.
Yeah.
I think they're going to stay that way, and I don't think they're going to raise rates anytime soon. There's that sense of urgency that everybody's out there to raise rates. You know, I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, I mean, proof's in the pudding. We talked about this. We know where the economy currently stands. If the economy's not doing good, then the rates will not go up. If the economy's doing good, then interest rates will go up. Am I correct?
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. So let's talk about QE4. You know anything? You know about QE4?
Yeah. What does that stand for?
Quantitative easing. What that means is it's an artificial market by the government printing money to stimulate the economy.
Remember, the more money we print, what happens is we get inflation.
We devaluate our dollar. Go ahead and talk about that real quick, Chuck.
Well, basically what happens is the federal government will print this money to stimulate the economy, to put it back out. And what happens is the consumer gets all excited. They go out and they spend more money. They create more jobs. And what happens is the banks will take the money, buy their own stock markets, which increases the value of their stocks. And people will see this and feel that the economy's doing good.
Okay.
Now, the question is, what are your thoughts about it?
Well, let's say this. The Federal Reserve has a big problem on its hands. It hooked U.S. stocks on 6 years of ultra-cheap liquidity, and it now faces a blowback after removing the the proverbial punch bowl, if you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Today, the Federal Reserve commences its 2-day meeting, and what happens is they have a meeting to see where the economy's at, and they also have a meeting to see if they're going to raise interest rates. Now, I don't think the signs are there in any direction, including what we just talked about, the unemployment, for them to raise interest rates. And what I do think is that we're going to start maybe regressing in some areas, that there might be a small stimulus that's going to be needed here for QE4.
Well, let me throw this in the mix. Think about this. What do you think if the feds actually did this on purpose, where they raised their rates enough to have the economy unbalanced a little bit. Mm-hmm. And at this point, what they did was they are setting up for QE4 to print out more money for the banks.
We have a caller on line one.
We do. We have Dave.
Dave.
Hello.
How you doing, sir?
Doing great.
Good. You have a question?
No, I have the answer to the trivia question.
Okay.
The movie is Mean Girls, but I can't remember the actress name.
Oh, man.
I know.
That was a long sigh right there. Hey, let me ask this question. Are you out driving right now?
Yeah, heading to Boulder City.
Excellent, excellent. So my question to you is, have you been in the market recently to either consider buying a home, or do you own a home?
Yes, we bought our house. We recently moved here last April from Phoenix, and we just bought a house in October.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about trying to pull some money out in June to start a business.
Yeah, I mean, that's something. I mean, we talked about this recently, that I don't think rates are going to go up, and I think at that point, if you're ready by that time frame, we'll definitely be able to take a look at that and see if we can help you. I mean, we talked about average person in the last year, they pulled out about $60,000 out of their home. I mean, that's a significant amount. I mean, I don't know how much equity you got. I mean, you've only owned it for what? Did you put a large down payment?
No, we used the Nevada financing.
The grant program.
Grant, yeah.
That's a great program, right?
Yeah, it worked great. I mean,
yeah.
Out-of-pocket cost was like $1,500 to move into our house.
Yeah, and what happened? You probably got seller closing costs, right?
Yep, they did that too. Yep.
What'd you end up paying for your property?
It was $217.
Wow. So price. I can tell you this. I mean, you probably have a little equity, but is there a reason why how much equity you think you've created in it's been a short window?
Yeah, I know. I was just kind of wanted to see if there was anything, because the market, like you said, is kind of going up and down.
Right. So you might need a comp or something on your property.
Yeah.
Got it.
I have done some improvements to the garage. It's got all new flooring and cabinets and stuff like that, and a workbench. But
absolutely.
Yeah, the rest of the house, we're planning to do hardwood floors throughout. There's hardwood floors on the bottom now, but we want to finish the rest of the house with it.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you this. I mean, there's a possibility we can look and see what the time frame would be for you to refinance. You have typically it's a 12-month period on these loan programs that's out there for you to consider trying to refinance your home or getting out of that home. I think.
I got you.
So you might want to take a look and do it. And if you can't get the money out, maybe you do a rate and term. Maybe that's a possibility, because you're probably on a higher rate as it is. Typically, those programs, they're great programs. Okay, like you said, you got into it for $1,500. It's little to no money out of pocket, but I can tell you that you're going to pay for it in two ways. You're going to pay for it in your down payment, or you're going to pay for it in your rate.
Yeah, the rate's a little bit high. It's 4.65.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Right now, we're quoting rates about a point less in some cases on that same program.
Yep.
So here's what I'm telling you. If you want to ever reach me outside studio, give us a call. You can reach me. You have all the numbers that I've given to you on the show, but I'll tell you it's 781-6682. I know you're driving. But if you want to get a hold of me outside studio, you can also go to my website and find me there at danfrenchloans.com if you want to get more information. And maybe we can get in contact here in the near future.
Perfect. Will do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks for calling in.
Bye-bye.
Well, let's talk about this, Dan. He purchases this property at $217. And let's say if we increase by 3%, he's only at $223,500. But if we do a loan to value at 25%, basically he won't be able to refinance.
No, not on a cash out. I don't think he's trying to do that. I mean, unless he's got some crazy no, not just equity. I mean, you have to have some additions or something that's going to really show the value.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the market would have
that.
I mean, the market would have to increase dramatically within 12 months in order for him to get that kind of money.
And people out there like this is a perfect question to ask. I mean, you might not even know. There's nothing wrong with calling in and asking that question, or trying to reach us outside and asking that question, because you know what? If you're trying to better your life or put you in a better position down the road, well, guess what? You might have that ability because down the road, this guy's talking June, maybe somebody's talking next year.
Now, also, just by adding wood floors and doing a new kitchen, granite countertops, it doesn't mean it's always going to increase dramatically in price too as well.
It doesn't. Things like that, There's not really what increases it. It's square footage, right?
The square
lot
footage,
size,
location,
lot size,
and supplies and demand,
right,
and the current market conditions.
Right. So let's go back to QE4 and let's talk about this. So today, year-over-year GDP, which is a gross domestic product, we talk about why it's so important, was stagnant at 3%.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the last time the Fed commenced the rate hike, and that's exactly what the outcome was.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that you don't see improvement,
yeah.
and that has concern. It should have concern. According to many analysts, doubt the ability of risk markets to absorb future rate increases too. They don't know if the market can absorb all these rate hikes, because guess what? What happens when you do a rate hike?
People ain't spending money.
They're not going to purchase as much.
And what's going to happen is that's where you come in with QE4. And that's why I think the government is actually doing this on purpose, so that way the banks can get more money and then stimulate the economy and they can make more money. I think this is all set up.
Chakits, ITZ, Wolf Blitzer here in the
you know what?
Studio.
Put this on record. I'm calling it. I'm calling it.
So anyways, let's talk about this. Dow, 25,000 by 2020. We talked about that. We don't know where the bottom is going to be, but this is what they're saying, that the Dow Jones in the next 3 to 4 years will pass 25,000.
Well, let's talk about that. If you take a look at Japan, that's where Japan was in 1997, but they went into a recession.
Yep.
Now, the reason why is you have to take a look at the demographics. Now, if you take a look at demographics today, if baby boomers are actually selling more diapers today in Japan versus the next generation that follows. The reason why this is important is because if you have more baby boomers and the younger age that follows, if they don't have enough supply and demand to purchase these properties and purchase these items in the economy, then what happens is things are going to start to explode, just like China. They are overproducing. Same thing. And that's what happened in Japan in I think it was 1987 or 1997.
So when you say baby boomers are having diapers, what are you explaining there? Like, what does that mean?
Well, what that means is there's a period of time where when you come to a certain age where you have to have, depends.
So you need assistance.
Yeah, basically.
Right. Okay, so
what I'm saying is,
bond markets are weak. Bond market weakness. In order to this to occur, the Fed would need to reverse its current tightening stance and expand its balance sheet again with more quantitative easing, like we just talked about. Bond market weakness is showing. They need to do something. And the stability of the stock market and things like that, like you said, it shows signs, but then it shows signs of bad. And where do you go? Well, you got to start pumping more money into the economy, which, what does that do? It devaluates your dollar.
Yep.
Right? And you can spend more.
Well,
but your value, your dollar is not worth as much.
Well, there's two things. You can deflate the bubble now, or just kick the can down the road.
Deflate it. I don't understand why we don't just deflate it. I don't know what they're attempting to do with, if it does come and we minimize the damages, go back to it and minimize the damages again. Is it ever going to stop? And is it going to be something that's even news anymore?
Well, I think the reason why is the top 1% in all the central banks, they're going to lose money. And that's what it really comes down to, is money.
Right. Let's also talk about millennials and millennials workforce. We've talked about how they're so important. There's really a lot of people marketing towards millennials. I myself have a lot more millennials coming in to me and talking to me about what is it going to take to get into a home, especially with the grant program and things like that. A lot of them, they're trying to get into a home around the 27, 28-year range now. And, it's a good thing. Demographic shows that between 27 and I think 38 is typically when people get into their first home, or they spend the most money on purchasing a home. So millennials themselves are a big commodity to what we do here. And with technology, with their understanding of the internet and how things work, with your cell phones and things, there's so many ways that they can find out how to purchase a home or get information on, getting qualified for a loan. And I think gearing towards them, they're the ones that's going to ask that question, well, why? And what is the reason why we're in a position? They're going to be the ones asking these questions more, just in the sense that I really think that they've seen what's gone on in the last few years, and now they're getting smarter. And now they're taking that information, and now they're going and asking questions directly to people. One of them was, I had a millennial go and they spoke to another lender, and the lender put in the wrong taxes. They didn't put in the HOA payment and projected a wrong payment. And that millennial called out that lender?
Really?
Yeah. and they didn't even know. Why? Because they maybe, I don't know if they listened to the show, but they did definitely look this stuff up online, and those things are important. But you could lose business now where that might have been something maybe 5-10 years ago. You didn't quote it, and you're like, hey, I'm just going to talk about rates. Well, people know about rates now. They're always on there. Now they want the bottom line. What's my payment going to be?
Mm-hmm.
What is my overall payment? And that's what they make their judgment on. And a lot of these millennials, when they do get into these homes, yes, they're buying investment properties, but they're focused on not being mortgage broke. They're like, you know what? I make so much money here, but I'm only going to take up 30% of what my income is because I don't want to just pay everything to my mortgage.
And millennials are important because millennials are actually 53% of the labor force.
I think a lot of the baby boomers, they buy investment properties and things, and they did take advantage of it because they probably had money socked away, but their goal is not to go out and buy that first home.
No.
Their goal is to basically find an opportunity and find a deal and then go after it.
Because you have to remember, by the age of 56, that's when they're going to save the most money. And why they're saving more money, they're really not spending money. And that's why if you take a look around the age of 67, when you're at that age, you're not really buying that many things, or car sales plummet during that time period.
So I want to tell you a quick story about this.
Yeah.
Last month, a 25-year-old, and this is how they're doing things now.
Yeah.
A 25-year-old Yelp employee wrote an open letter to the company's CEO that went crazy. The employee outlined how her pay at the company was not a living wage.
Yeah.
She also said that I guess that she's put more into this note. They actually terminated her. And I guess what that means to that is that they're now challenging things. Maybe I don't know if it's something that maybe
it's a movement or something.
Well, I don't know if it's a movement, but it's more of you're now questioning things. And I think because of the uncertainty in the economy, because of the uncertainty with the housing market, with the uncertainty with the overall production, how it's affected people, I think now it's going into a sense, well, we're the next workforce, and we're going to start looking at things in a little bit more detail. And if we don't know something, we're gonna call you out on it. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they are the next generation. They are the next workforce. They are the next people behind, Generation X and all these,
baby boomers.
I mean, so here's the thing. You got to look at them. You got to market to them. And you got to understand, as a millennial, we have everything technologically that would help them. We do all electronic signing. A lot of people don't know how to do that.
Some people don't even have
It's very streamlined.
Still.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is a lot of this stuff, I don't like to be just online, but a lot of this stuff is online, and they prefer it to be.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people now that they're so busy with life, like we talked about the 2 or 3 jobs, they don't want to.
How often do you even see your clients?
Well, I see them when they come in at the beginning, and then I see them when we have a transaction meeting with my transaction coordinator, and then I don't see them until we close. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think I try to meet people as much as I can because I'm from the a little bit different era where it's common that you go and shake somebody's hand and look them in the eye and, hey, you're doing business with me, I'm doing business with you. But it's not like that now. It's more of, hey, I'm just going to fill out this application. We'll schedule a time. It's all around my schedule and, to a point. And, I'm busy, so we're going to have to get together on a Saturday at 5 o'clock. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to adapt. Because if you don't, these types of clients, and plus with the jobs that everybody's working, the different hours here in Vegas, you're going to have to adapt because people now know that, one, there's a lot of competition, but two, they don't have the time to meet. They
got 2 part-time jobs.
Well, they just got life going on.
Exactly.
Life is going on, and things are different. So with technology, with internet, it's making things quicker. It's making things a lot technological. The advancements that we've had. For us as Nova Home Loans, I mean, everything is all electronic. Everything is signed electronic. Everything's sent to you. Not saying you can't come in and sign, but the days of you signing something, that's going to happen at title typically, and that's it. You order your appraisal online. All the contact information. Now, let me put this in perspective, though. You do have other companies that are finance companies that are only online, and I would never get a loan from that, just for me personally. Because I like to go and interact a little bit and like to really see what I'm getting into. And I think that's what millennials are looking at. For me, if I'm a millennial, I'm going to say, I want to see it in writing, or I want to see it up front before we even get into it. And I think that's what they're doing, because some people just take their word for it. Oh, you're telling me what it is, it's what it is. But that's not the truth. I'm going to say, you come in my office, you sit down, I'm going to show you exactly where the rates are at. You're going to see what I see. And I think that's important because...
Well, it's like you call in a credit card company, or you call in some company, and next thing you know, there's an automated machine. You want to talk to somebody.
Right. Absolutely. We got a caller, line 1. Yeah, this is Dan French with the Market Snapshot. How are you doing today?
Hey, Dan and Chuck.
Hey, what's going on?
Real.
Who's this?
LG Real, man.
Real?
Oh, no.
Les.
Yeah, you're inside Hollywood, boy. You know, my bad for not getting with you all since a few weeks ago, but it seems you did take, I think you took a week off maybe.
We took yeah, we did.
No worries.
Man, you called us out on this. I can't believe.
Right on. Oh, hey, if LG's not going to stay on top of you, who is?
Hey, listen, that's all right.
Yes, sir. All right, so I got a little inside Hollywood for you, but before we get to that,
is it Tom Cruise?
Yeah, he's part of it. You got it.
I knew it.
They mix me up with him all the time.
Hey,
you know, and if you.
All I'm going to say, man, is Tom Cruise was one of my favorite actors. All right?
Right.
So I'm confident that we would all get along here, and if we went out and had a beer together, it would be great.
That's what it's all about. And wait till you see him portray you on the big screen. You'll really love him.
Yeah.
All right. So, quickie, though, I know we just got a couple minutes. On the Federal Reserve, you know, me and Chuck, we missed the last one, but the economy hadn't gotten over it since, albeit sort of other than because of tracking, you know, we got some lower gas prices helping everybody out. Question is, I'm working on the Les Grossman Real podcast. I mentioned that to you all last show. That's working on it. That's talking to you. So. The question is, you know, they're talking about now another Fed rise, and I just wanted to see if that came up earlier in the show today with you guys.
Absolutely, Les. Let me tell you something. We're predicting right now there is a strong possibility of QE4. Strong.
Well, believe it. Yeah, bet.
I thoroughly believe it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something. Rates are low. Have you ever had to look at your home to see if you can refinance it?
Well, you know, you guys helped me. That's where the love affair began. If you recall, late last year, you all helped me.
Listen. Let's stop real quick. Sorry to interrupt you, but did you say love affair?
And you know, spiritual.
Oh, okay, spiritual. Because I have my. Listen, I understand the man thing, you know, but spiritual. No, we're good. We're good. Hey, either way, we're good. I just wanted to make sure. It was spiritual.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. All right. So yay or nay, you are saying that the Feds are going to do another quarter point this month.
Listen, I don't think they're going to raise rates. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they try to experiment. Listen, last year, all they talked about was they had to raise rates. They never did because they knew the economy wasn't strong enough.
Couldn't handle it.
They snuck it in at end of 2015, and now the economy's starting to show weakness again. It's regressing in a lot of areas, one of them being unemployment or unemployment.
Right,
so
no doubt.
You have problems here, and I don't think it's going to happen because they just tested it, and now it's showing that it's not as strong as they think it should be.
Brilliant. I'm with you, although that's not keeping them from saying, oh, come to the end of the month meeting, we just might raise rates.
Well, let's say this, Les. If they did that, what would happen to the consumer confidence? Nobody would buy. And that's the problem is that everything is about how confident you are within our economy to spend the money. If we don't spend money, then we don't have an economy. So you have to make sure that, you know, you give out the information, the content right. I'm not saying go out there and be in an alarm, but definitely take notice that, you know, rates are probably, in my opinion, not going to go up very much, if at all, probably not at all this year. And, you know, if you're looking to refinance or do something, it might go the other direction. You might refinance into a 4% or 4.25%, let's say 6 months ago. And then guess what? Now we're at 3.5% or 3%.
Right. Well, that was like the irony on this one. Even though the Fed took a quarter point, your rates went down. How cool is that?
Les, you're a true asset to the show here, and I wanted to tell you.
Here we go. We're closing.
Bring it.
Right,
bring it.
Look for the launching of the Les Grossman Real podcast. The first one's in the can. It was scheduled to launch tonight. A little technical difficulty. It's going to be either tomorrow or Tuesday night. And then every week on Sunday, there'll be a new episode. We're doing 3 this evening.
Absolutely. Here's the thing. Keep that love affair. Hopefully there's that love affair for other people out there listening to the show. We're here to make you smarter home buyers and smarter home shoppers. It's Dan French with the Market Snapshot. We'll talk to you next week.